Hey, you know what? I just got to thinking that today would be the best day to share with you about a story I read in My Utmost for His Highest. What a great daily devotional. So I want to encourage you to get that daily devotional, My Utmost for His Highest, by Oswald Chambers. In it, he talks about the fact that Paul wrote that we are all more than conquerors through Him who loved us. Isn't that awesome? We are more than conquerors. Yet, we see stuff happening in our life that we don't look like conquerors. We look like we've been completely defeated. But that's not true. The huge waves that are coming in your life right now, the things that look like they're going to crush you, these things have never happened to you before. You're completely overwhelmed. Well, a huge wave to a swimmer produces terrifying, absolute, certain death. But to a surfer, that exact same wave is the most thrilling thing they've ever seen. They are thanking God for this giant wave that they get to ride. And if it's not big enough to kill you or completely maim you for life, then the thrill isn't nearly as great. If it's a little old tiny wave, my gosh, there's nothing fun about that. Why would you even think about identifying your life by that little old tiny wave? So whatever wave is happening in your life, God has put it there to give you abundant joy. You don't have joy because you lack all terrifying things in your life or because everything is just wonderful. You have no trouble, no problems, nothing really big happening. It's only this awesome thrill of something horrible, this wave that's coming against you, for you to be in the midst of it, to ride it, and then to be able to share with everyone around you. They're all marveling at how huge that wave was and is in your life. And you're saying, but look, I'm riding it. I look at it as a surfer. I look at it as not as a swimmer. Isn't that powerful? So God is calling us to look at whatever the lion is in our life, just as Benaniah in 2 Samuel 23. Benaniah has been known, he is renowned throughout all of Israel and now throughout all the earth. For every generation, he is renowned for for the fact that he chased a lion, a 500-pound lion that can make a leap, a 30-foot leap in a single bound, that he would go chase that lion, and the lion then fell in a pit, and he jumps in the pit and kills the lion on a snowy day where he can't get his footing. He can't, that's what I want to be. I thank God now for the incredible, overwhelming wave that's coming against me. God has always had his people in a situation where they were absolutely overwhelmed with how huge the enemy was, and yet God gave them victory. He took Gideon's army from 30,000 to 300. He wanted the victory to be so lopsided that nobody could possibly get glory from it except him. Isn't that awesome? So what is it? What is it in your life? What is the fiery furnace that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to meet? And then he had to heat it up 7 times hotter than it had ever been. And it was only in the middle of the furnace that Jesus showed up. He was the one that came in and set them free and protected them. Not a hair of their head was singed. Nothing. The guys who threw them in were killed. The fire was so hot. Man, that's the victory that God wants for you. Don't try to avoid. Yet we do. I'm going to try to avoid every possible inconvenience, trial, trouble, or suffering. But when I have no other way of escape, I can't get away, I know that God is going to be with me and that he has studied every possible scenario for this to be the greatest gift he could give me. He's given me the wave. I was watching a documentary of the surfers in Hawaii, and some maybe 15 years ago, the biggest waves that ever came to Hawaii, the early warning system that they have, buoys that are set out in the ocean thousands of miles away from Hawaii. These buoys then report when there's a huge wave or a tsunami or whatever coming. And so the report comes in, and all these surfers, hardcore surfers who have nothing else to do but think about surfing, right? Everything else in their life is like way down the list on priority. Surfing's number one. And so they sneak out before morning while it's still dark, which is illegal for them to get out there in these waves. And they ride the biggest waves in the history of surfing. waves that are certain death. And today, to this day, some maybe 15 years later, their entire lives are still defined by riding that wave. Isn't that something? Your life will be defined by the wave that you rode, not the one that crushed you, because nothing can crush you. The victory is always His. He's always got a way of escape for you. And there are things that are bad things will happen. Even surfers get knocked off their surfboards, and they count it a privilege to die in the attempt to riding a wave. Isn't that amazing? We should count it an attempt. We should count it a joy. We should count it a blessing to die in the attempt of walking out whatever circumstances God's put in our life. And our lives can be defined by it. Death has no victory. Death has no sting. If you die, you get to go to a better place. How could there be anything funner than that? Let's change our perspective. Let's pull back and see that all the circumstances that we face today are nothing compared to the glory, to the joy of living in the midst of them. See you guys.